Going.
Hello, Jim and Steve. Today I'm going to talk about motivating interdependent teams, individual rewards, shared rewards, or something in between. This article was written by Pearsall, Christian, and Ellis in 2010, and it goes into the different ways that you can motivate and reward interdependent teams. To begin with, the authors explore the idea that more and more organizations are using interdependent teams to handle extremely complex and diverse issues. So the difficulty becomes how to motivate the individual team members as well as the team as a whole. And for the sake of this article, the authors define team interdependence as the degree to which the team's task performance depends on the coordinated efforts and skills of all members. Traditionally, interdependent teams have been rewarded in one of two ways. The first, individual rewards, are given directly to the individual regardless of the team performance as a whole. Now, this continues to motivate the individual and draws the clear distinction between performance and reward, but it also does not encourage sharing of information or team helping behaviors because the individual is looking out for number one. The second is shared or cooperative rewards, and these focus on the performance of the team as a whole and do not give recognition to individuals, individual work, which could account for social loafing and individuals not feeling like they've been recognized in the process. This study seeks to show that hybrid reward structures, a combination of both individual and cooperative, maximize the benefits of each while minimizing the pitfalls of each. So the purpose of this study is to explore the different effects of reward structures within interdependent teams. Again, those three reward structures were individual-based, cooperative, shared-based, or a hybrid mix. The researchers also wanted to look at how these effects are mediated by specific motivational mechanisms, and the two mechanisms were information allocation, which is the expert-specific information sharing, and also social loafing, which is the tendency of individuals to reduce their own effort when working in a team context. So they set up three hypotheses for this study. The first one was that hybrid reward structures will result in higher team performance across all conditions, meaning more than individual and cooperative rewards. The second hypothesis stated that hybrid rewards would also result in greater information allocation, and also it would reduce social loafing against cooperative reward structures. So participants were 360 students selected from several introductory management courses at a large university. They were offered extra credit for their participation as well as the opportunity to earn up to $40 in cash. Participants were randomly assigned to 4-person teams, and then those teams were randomly assigned to one of the three reward conditions, again, individual, shared, cooperative, and hybrid, leaving a total of 30 teams per condition. Team performance was measured by the total offensive and defensive efforts of the game that they played, which I'll get into in just a second. Social loafing, to go with hypothesis number 3, was measured from an 8-item scale from Linden, Wayne, Jaworski, and Bennett. And this scale asks questions such as, there are members of this team that do not do their share of work, or there are members of this team that put forth less effort than others. And then the information allocation was graded by 2 researchers who were blind to the study, but trained in the game, its rules, and looked specifically for information sharing phrases like DM3, there are several G targets in the restricted zone, or DM2, please send a tank into my quadrant to destroy this F target. Which brings me to how this, the interdependent teams played out. So there's a computer game, and the object of the game was to control the territory that you were given at the beginning of the game, and then also to expand your territory. Now, the reason this was difficult is because those other teams were playing against you, trying to protect their territory and expand as well. So it was up to the team members to, at the end of the game, have as much territory as possible without giving up the original land that they were given. Now, they did this by, as mentioned down here, looking for targets and enemy tanks, helicopters, missiles, and certain members of the team could only do certain responsibilities. So the DM3 could only take down A, B, and C targets. and a DM1 could only go so far and refuel at certain amount of times, requesting help from other members of the team to help with the areas that they were not able to account for. So that increased team interdependency, since one member could not maintain their team area or expand. For the 3 reward conditions, individual rewards were based on the best 4 DM1s within their position. So every group was told in the individual, okay, I gotta start over again. Shit, how do I do this? Individual rewards based on performance between all the participants. Okay. So individual awards were based on the performance of the top DM1, DM2, DM3, DM4, regardless of how their team did overall. So these participants were told, if you have the highest score in your position, you will win the $40. The shared cooperative rewards were told, regardless of individual contributions, the 4 teams with the highest scores will share the prize of $160. So each person will get $40 regardless of their individual score. The hybrid reward condition, we're told that the $40 would go to the team with the highest overall defensive score and the individual with the highest offensive score. So the combination of those 2 scores, those people would get the $40. In this study, hypotheses 1, 2, and 3 were all supported. So hybrid reward conditions performed better over both individual and cooperative shared reward structures. And hybrid reward conditions also showed increased information sharing and decreased social loafing. The implications for this study offer an example of a practical and alternative reward structure than what is traditionally used in large organizations. Teams with diverse areas of expertise now have a way to share that information and make the team better as a whole while still being rewarded for their individual efforts. This can be easily implemented in an organization. If they have one structure or the other, they can just supplement that with the structure that they don't have. Or if they're starting a new reward structure, they can go directly to hybrid rewards to increase performance within that organization. The limitations of this study, the authors did comment that they obviously did this with a university population, and that this may not translate completely into the working world with more mature adults who, in some instances, may be handling millions and or billions of dollars in assets. They also said that they did not explicitly measure individual team member motivation. They only looked at the team overall between information allocation and social loafing. So they did say that this is an area for future research to look at individual team member motivation. My overall impression of this study, I thought it was a really interesting model. I know I would like to play that game and see what it was like. The large sample size, I think, also helps to increase its generalizability to other populations. Again, maybe not the corporate world, but definitely teams in the collegiate area. Especially for coaches who work with team sports, this could be really helpful, knowing the best way to increase their team performance could come from rewarding the individual for their efforts as well as the team as a whole. And for coaches, this can be especially helpful to know when working with younger teams all the way up to older, more complex teams, since hybrid reward structures, at least as far as this study goes, did result in better team performance. Thanks for tuning in.